Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so this is a live show that's dedicated to Guillermo P. He dropped a comment in my latest video, and he did some searching and some reading, and he found the details. And I have to share those with you because you're not going to find a Sprite for a couple years through the CPO program. So look at this as a discussion. I can drop the link if you guys want to jump on. We can talk about what I want to talk about, and we can go off and talk about some other stuff if you guys want to. But the main thing I want to talk about is that this is the big thing. If you're here watching it after the fact and you want to know the important details, the most important detail I think is that these pieces have to be over 3 years old. That's why you're not going to get a Sprite. All right. So let me just first say, Geezer, great to see you. LA Meth Witch, good to see you. Eugene Kim is here. And thank you guys for stopping by. So again, you're not going to find a Sprite, right? Very bad example of mine because that's a new watch, not even a year old. So it's got to be pieces that are 3 years old or older. And of course, why is that? Because if you do get the Sprite for 11,000 and they're worth, well, I don't know what they're worth. That's a separate thing. But, market value is probably 20 or 30,000. You can't go around into the parking lot, turn around, come back and say, I'd like to sell my watch. What will you pay me for it? And walk out of there with 10,000 USD in your pocket, right? So it's got to be the older pieces. And it also stops people from, even if it's, and by the way, when I say, and I think this is the best way to read this, we're going to get into the details in a minute, but I think the best way to look at it as is this. It's not just the models, but it's like if it's got to be a 3-year-old piece. If that makes any sense. All right. So no Sprites, but for example, a piece that has been around for 3 years, you wouldn't be able to sell that either. I think what it means is like from the point of sale. That's just the way I read things, and that makes perfect sense because it stops immediate flipping. And, if you bought your watch last year and you're thinking, well, I'd like to sell it, well, you can't. You're gonna have to wait another 2 years. And that makes sense because they don't want exactly what's happening in the gray market to happen with this program. All right. So that's the most important thing. And if you come away with nothing, then come away with that. All right. So got some other people. Nicholas is here. Hey, Nicholas. Nicholas is in Japan. Oyster 369 is here. Richie Luxury and Floodland. All right, excellent. So Richie Luxury, the watch market is dead. I don't know. It's dying a slow death. Is it dead? No. That's a separate topic. Let's get into the, as Mark Goldberg would say, the meat and potatoes of this video. All right. So I'll do it like this, I think. Okay. So we're going to go through and I'm just going to, well, let's see. How long is it? It's not too long. So let's go through this together. In fact, you know what? I think I'll drop the link. And if somebody wants to jump on, they can, because it might be kind of interesting to have somebody to talk with, because you guys can read this yourself, right? I don't know if you just want to hear me talk about it. All right. So it says Rolex is offering the opportunity to purchase from its official retailers pre-owned watches that are certified as authentic and guaranteed by the brand. These timepieces benefit from the exacting quality criteria inherent to all Rolex products and from a 2-year international guarantee. And okay, that's weirdly written. But anyway, okay, valid from the date of resale in the Rolex network. All right, so there you go. And let's move on. All right. Again. Oh, no, nobody had. I'm sorry. I thought somebody had jumped on. That's okay. But anyway, if you want to, there's the link for you. Okay. So I guess this announcement came out of Geneva, the 1st of December, today. All right. 2022. Because they are built to last, Rolex watches often live several lives. Interesting. I like that. That's absolutely true. And because they may be worn on new wrists, interesting for Rolex to acknowledge that, the Rolex Certified Pre-Owned program now enables retailers in the brand's official distribution network to sell second-hand models that are certified as authentic and which come with a new 2-year international guarantee. Okay, another important part coming up, where this is happening. Rolex certified pre-owned watches will initially be available at Bucher boutiques in 6 countries. And yeah, when I made the rumor video, Bucher came up. And in fact, I think maybe Bucher is already doing it. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that. Here are the countries: Switzerland, Austria, Germany, France, Denmark, and the UK. From the start of December 2022. It's December 2022. So, wow, I wonder if you go there tomorrow. I wonder if you're going to see some of these watches. That's amazing. Okay, it doesn't say Japan there, but it says other. I live in Japan, by the way. That's why I talk about Japan for all you new viewers. Other official Rolex retailers who choose to be part of this program will be able to do so from spring 2023. Okay, it's going to spring. Okay, so that's a while away, maybe 6 months or so. And that's interesting because I guess ADs have the choice, which makes sense. Now, will ADs here in Japan do this? They should. Why not? I mean, they don't have anything in the cases anyway, so they really ought to. The new program makes it possible to purchase pre-owned watches that the brand itself has certified and guaranteed. And that's a big thing. Certification, it's not such a big deal for me these days because I feel like I know what I'm looking at, especially when it comes to the 5-digit pieces. But hey, back when I first got into watches, it was terrifying. And I would have loved to have gone this route because I wanted a 5-digit Rolex and they weren't selling 5-digit Rolexes. This is back in 2013, 2014. And so, I had 2 choices. I could have gone, and I wanted, I think, a sub at the time. I could have gone ceramic, or I had to go pre-owned. And so I just sort of had to jump in it, cross my fingers, hope that it was all right. And it worked out. But a lot of the times it doesn't. And, you guys don't need for me to tell you that these are often faked things, and it can be pretty terrifying to new people. And this is for them. This is a perfect thing for them. Now, somebody reached out and said, what is this going to look like? Well, here's what I think it's going to look like. I think you're going to see these pieces. They're going to be quite expensive. I think they're going to be more expensive than typical gray market pieces because you have that backing of Rolex, and you have the card and the pouch, and you have, those are good things, and it's authenticated. And a lot of people are just going to be willing to pay more for that assurance. And I would have years ago for sure. So that's worth keeping in mind. All right. All right, let's continue. It says, its aim is to bring added value to the existing supply of pre-owned Rolex watches. Bullshit. Okay, that's bullshit. They just want to make some money, I think, and they want to. Okay, calm down, Austin. Calm down. Look, they've had years to do this. They've had years to bring value to older Rolex watches, and they choose not to. And they choose not to because a lot of these older Rolex watches, they don't make parts for, and you're in the lurch. And think about, say, 6694. Now, they have a couple different versions of that with different movements. Now, the newer movement, I think they can service that. The older movement, they can service it if it's still running, but if it's not, you're screwed. You got to go to a third party to have it fixed. And so, when it comes to these older Rolex watches, I've always felt that Rolex has not stood behind them, and credit to Patek for doing that. So, to come out and say that they want to bring added value to existing supply of Rolex watches, pre-owned Rolex watches. Okay, well, too little, too late. I'm not buying it. You want in on this market. Okay, so there you go. Because where am I? Because when these watches change hands, their authenticity must be attestable at the time of resale by the official retailers. Okay, yes, authenticity is important, and yeah, again, I think they're doing that because ADs want to sell something, right? And there are not a lot of new pieces that they can sell. They probably want to get their toe in 3, 4, 5 year old ceramic pieces and pre-ceramic pieces and all that goodness premium and gray market premium. They want part of that. And so I guess that's what it took for Rolex to finally um, to an extent, stand behind their older watches. So, yeah. All right. So, let me just take a moment and peruse the apologies for the poor language. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what JC Watches says. I'm sorry. I just got triggered by that because I thought I heard some fakeness there. All right. Maybe won't sell you a new watch unless here. Let me just highlight this comment so you can see. Maybe won't sell you a new one unless you have an old one to trade. Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Here, let me put myself here. Okay. They'll give you a okay. This is a more poor language. That's okay. Everybody's an adult here, so I think we can handle it. They'll give you a shit price for the old one, but let you buy at RRP retail price. Then they make the money on selling the secondhand one. Look, I think this is going to be yet another way where you can get your foot in the door of the retail market and ADs. And if you have something to sell them, I mean, look, if you go in empty handed and you want to buy a new piece, right? I mean, you've got nothing to give them really now, unless you're a VIP or you in the past bought a bunch of unpopular models. That's not the case here in Japan. You can't buy anything. I mean, nothing is available here, including small ladies pieces. So if you go in and say, I'll buy a bunch of ladies pieces, those are already sold out. But in the past, if you had, then here in Japan, you're kind of, well, you would have a lot more cred. But if this does start, you go in and you sell some of your pieces, and they can lowball you, and as thanks, perhaps in the future they can sell you a new piece. So I think that's very perceptive. JC Watches. All right, where are we? All right. Okay, so I think it says, I think we're at this paragraph. Rolex advocates the durability of its products. Okay, to an extent. I really wish they would stand behind 4-digit pieces. Not like I have any, but I think that, look, let's just say Rolex really, if they want to be um, what I think is the perfect watch company, they have to service their watches, all their watches, like Patek. Okay, and it would be tough, but look, they could do it. And right, I mean, Patek. Just so you guys know what I'm referring to, any Patek, no matter how old, they will service it. They'll get it running again. Now, they might have to make parts for it, and it could cost you an arm and a leg, but at least it's an option. It just hasn't been with Rolex. And I've always thought that is probably my number one gripe with Rolex, that these older pieces, I just don't feel like they stand behind them. And so, you have these, you know, heirloom pieces, so to speak. But then, a couple of generations later, you got to wonder if your heirs can use them. And you can always make pieces and parts. I mean, after the fact, and competent watchmakers can do that. But then, is that what you want? Not really. You don't want a watchmaker having to do that. Okay, you want Rolex to make the parts, right? You don't want a Franken watch. But sometimes, if it's a really old Rolex, to get it running, you just have to do that. And so I always thought that they should stand behind the pieces like Patek. And so perhaps this is a step in that direction. Perhaps. All right. Thanks to uncompromising quality standards, The brand produces watches with the longest possible lifespans. It therefore wishes to accompany the second life of its watches already circulating on the market with a view to preserving, maintaining, and guaranteeing what already exists. This approach is in keeping with the perpetual philosophy, the relentless pursuit of excellence, and a long-term commitment to future generations. Okay, hopefully we're seeing a shift here. And you know what? I was a bit cynical a few minutes ago, and I said, you're doing it for the money. We'll see. All right. If you are able to bring these CPO ADs, an old 6694 with older movement that's not working anymore, and if they take it, then okay, that means that this is true. All right. I mean, this is great. I love to read this, but let's see if they really put their money where their mouth is when it comes to the older pieces. And I'm not talking like something like a old sub. I'm talking like the older pieces that sort of don't get the respect, like a 6694 or like an old date just or like a bubble back or something like that. So we'll see. These certified authentic secondhand watches also offer customers a tangible and immediate opportunity to become part of the Rolex world. Yeah, immediate, because you can't become part of the Rolex world through an AD at all now. And so if you've got the bucks now, you can. So this is good. Now, of course, you can. You could just go down and get something gray market, but again, a lot of people don't want to do that. And the gray market, it kind of is grubby. Some of these shops and some of these pawn shops and stuff, it's not really a good experience. And so, yeah, it will allow people to buy some things. In concrete terms, very important here. This is probably where we're making this live show. In concrete terms, the Rolex certified program attests the authenticity of second-hand Rolex watches that are at least 3 years old. I think they forgot the at. We have a typo. Okay, we have a typo, Rolex. Rolex is not perfect, I guess. At the time of resale by an official retailer displaying the special Rolex certified pre-owned plaque. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be the plaque that you see when you go into an AD. And yeah, that are at least 3 years old. So important there. All right. So if you bought your sub last year and you think, well, they're kind of going down in value, I better sell quick. Well, you're not going to be able to sell it to an AD. It's got to be 3 years old. You got to wait a couple of years. It guarantees that these watches benefit from the quality criteria inherent to all Rolex products and from the full know-how and professionalism of the brand's worldwide network of experts. The Rolex certified pre-owned seal that accompanies the watches concerned symbolizes their status as certified secondhand Rolex watches. The Rolex certified pre-owned guarantee card delivered at the time of the sale officially confirms that the watch is genuine and guarantees its proper functioning. This card bears the words certified pre-owned and serves as an official certificate of authenticity. Now, they don't mention anything about parts, and maybe that's, I don't want to call attention to something I don't need to, but I'm curious about that, right? I mean, okay, so the watch is genuine and is proper. I mean, I guess that maybe we can just say that's what they would consider a genuine watch. Yeah. I'm just curious about if they did need to replace a part that wasn't available, would the watchmaker at one of these authorized dealers with this program, would they be able to make a part or not? My guess is no. That could get ugly fast. It could get pretty franken pretty quick. Rolex watches, new or secondhand, should only be bought from official Rolex retailers who are authorized to sell and care for Rolex watches. Thanks to their skills and technical expertise, The retailers ensure the continued smooth functioning of each timepiece over the years. Only the official Rolex network is able to provide these guarantees. Yes, and that's what it's really all about, assurances. So, there was also a question in the comment section of that last video about, the 5 things you get. And again, just to review that, you get a special pouch. Okay, it's probably going to be kind of a cool pouch. I'm sure it's going to be very high quality. CPO pouch. Okay, so that's number one. You get the card, which is really cool. I mean, it's basically like papers again, but again, not as good as the real papers, right? And then you get that little hang tag, which again, very cool. And then you get the service booklet and the guarantee booklet. So those are the 5 things you get. Now, here's the comment. The comment was saying, well, what if they buy a piece that has box papers and all the original things? Are they going to include that too? Which, of course, you would want that. I mean, there's nothing that can replace the original box and papers, but would they take those, essentially destroy them, and then repackage it in this way? And that's a great question, because if they don't, and they have some pieces with box and papers and the 5 things that they include, and some with just the 5 things that they include, then all of a sudden you've got sort of a hierarchy of pieces, right? And it wouldn't be as uniform. And that's the kind of thing that could, I imagine, dissuade people. You go in and like, okay, I want this piece, but it doesn't have what this piece has. If you don't know anything about Rolex watches, and they all come in the same way, it just gives that uniformity would give somebody who doesn't know better probably a sense of comfort. Everything is the same, right? Whether I get this piece, this piece, this piece, we're not thinking about box and papers. We're just thinking about the watch you want, the watch you love, right? Whether I want this model or this model. Because if you include that, then all of a sudden that becomes part of the equation. And, do I want this date just with box and papers, or do I want this sub, which is a better watch and probably a more, more valuable watch with no box and papers, right? So that's a big question I have. Are they going to be able to, also include the goodies that the watches originally sold with? That's going to be the big question for me. If they don't, then of course that means that, I guess, they're getting this, they're getting the box and papers, and then they're not including it, and they're destroying it, which would be weird. So that's the big question for me, and I can't wait to see, once these pieces start coming out, if some of them come with box and papers, some of them don't. If none of them do, I think what that means is they're probably withholding those. So that's the thing I want to see. All right, and then what do we have? Note to media here. Okay, yeah, let's just look at that. Okay, that's beautiful. Very classy looking card. I love that. I love the cream color. And then of course you got the coronet there, and then this little sort of swirly design that's on the inside clasps of Rolex watches, and beautiful little leatherette case. Probably not real leather, but it's nice. An example of Datejust, diamond dial weight Datejust two-tone. Looks like rose gold. Looks like a lady's piece. Rolex supports its watches throughout their many lives in the spirit of its perpetual philosophy. Again, you guys didn't until today, so I hope you will. And I hope those 6694s that are out there with those older movements, I hope you'll, hope you'll service those as well. The Rolex Certified Pre-Owned program offers the opportunity to purchase secondhand watches that are certified and guaranteed by the brand. Does that say the same thing in each? I don't want to read the same thing. No. Okay. Okay, and then we've got a beautiful, what is that? Is it a 16710? believe so. All right. It's got a, and by the way, let's have some fun here. Can you guys see closely? That looks to have a, what do you call it? Hollow link bracelet. And so that would be, yeah, but it's a Swiss made dial. So what would that be? That would be either an A serial, right? Or it would be a P serial. So A serial is from 19, no, hold on, stop. Roll the truck back. Okay. Bag the truck up. No, it's got the, hold on a minute. That's weird. Okay. So it's got the, yeah, this would be like an A serial. Yeah, it would, because it's got the Swiss made dial, but it's got the hollow link bracelet. And so the hollow link bracelet, they switched those in about 2000, right? And so, yeah, it'd have to be like an A serial. All right. Anyway, kind of weird. Okay. Moving on. And what do we have here? Okay. This is a solid link bracelet. This is a 16570 Explorer 2. Now this has the solid link bracelet and it's got the Swiss made dial. So this could be a later A. Yeah, it could be a later A or a P or a K or on up, you know, because we can't see the side. If we could see whether it's a holes case, then we could tell. That's what you do when you watch spot, by the way. You look for, you know, is that a holes case? Is that a solid link bracelet or a hollow link bracelet? If you're really lucky, you can see the dial, and then you can kind of decide, you know, what serial it is. That's how you play watch spotting if you're me on the train. There we go. All right. So I think we have, that's a pie pan dial, by the way. So that'd probably be, okay, I know the steel version is a 1601. This is gold. Would this be like a 1608? Maybe. But the pie pan dials are beautiful. And I'm pretty sure this would have a acrylic crystal. This is a day date, of course. Yeah, nice. All right. So what do you guys want to talk about now? We're done. I think I talked about mainly like what I wanted to talk about, and that's that, you know, it's going to start out in a few countries and then it's going to come to more countries. Spring of 2023. I mean, will it come to Japan? Will it come to the States? Probably. It probably will. I mean, I'm sure that ADs are going to want to cash in and want to, you know, sell 16 710s and subs, you know, and old 14060s and stuff like that. So I can't imagine that that an authorized dealer wouldn't want to bring this revenue stream in. But of course, what it means is they'll probably have to have a watchmaker that can service, or maybe not. Maybe the maybe any place can take it and send it to like the service centers, because a lot of places here in Japan, in fact, all of them, you know, the watches are sent to the service center in Tokyo. Even when I was living in Fukuoka, they would send the watches to Tokyo. They could do little things like, you know, adjust bracelets and stuff at the service center in Fukuoka, but they never serviced it there, right? They could do little things like align your bezel insert, or you know, change the bracelet and stuff. But as far as doing whole overhauls, they had to send it to Tokyo. So yeah, I don't know. I know about as much as you guys now. All right, guys, thank you for watching. This was a video about some of the details of the upcoming CPO program. And I think the main points is that 3 years old, the piece has to be 3 years old. So you're not going to see a revolving door of new pieces being sold immediately at authorized dealers that are doing the CPO program. That's probably also because the ADs are their own separate entity, and they could get really corrupt if they could immediately sell a piece. And you think about it, you would have a sprite that, you never see a retail Sprite because they would just put it out as a pre-owned piece, right? And so Rolex can ensure they don't do that by making sure that the piece has to disappear for 3 years. Okay, so that's number 1 point. Number 2 point is the countries where it starts. It's going to start today, December 2022, in, again, the UK and Switzerland, across Europe, but in other countries in spring of 2023. And so I hope that, we'll start to see some, pieces at authorized dealers, be it new or used, and it could be very interesting. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I will see you next time.